Hi everyone, welcome to Sales in Minutes. I'm Astrid, and in this show we invite sales professionals to share their best hands-on tips and step-by-step strategies on everyday sales challenges. Each episode is about 10 to 15 minutes and are packed with ideas that you can start using right away.
In today's episode, we're joined by Edvard Sjöberg, Head of Sales at Meetric. Welcome, Edvard.
Thank you very much, Astrid. Glad to be here.
Yes, so nice to have you here. And to start off, we would love to hear your experience in sales before we jump into today's topics.
Yes, I started my career 14 years ago in the staff and recruiting business. I started then as a consulting manager, and after that I got like business unit manager. So I have been working with sales and leadership in combination. I'm today working as a head of sales and co-owner in Meetric, and we are a conversation intelligence and AI company.
Nice, nice. And today we'll talk about hit rate and what you can do to increase your hit rate, which is a very interesting topic, I think. Let's jump straight into it. If a sales rep wants to increase their hit rate, what can they do?
Yes, when improving hit rate, I usually break it down into understanding your numbers, building the right habits, learning from real conversations, and it's about converting. If you have meetings, what is the percent converting to deals or meeting to the next step? That is the first step. What hit rate do you want to increase? Is it the hit rate from meeting to deal, or is it the cold calling to meeting, and so on? That's a really important metric to understand when you're thinking about your hit rate.
Yeah, like where do you want to put your time?
Exactly.
Like, do you want to do it actually in the meetings with the customers and increase that hit rate, like close one hit rate? Or do you want to put it in the cold calling, the outreaching, the start of the sales process?
Exactly. If you're working as a SaaS company with, trials, for example, as you maybe work with in Oneflow and what we are working on in Meetric, you also want to see what is the hit rate from trial converting to deals.
Yeah.
Because you have different phases of converting and hit rate. So you need to break it down, which hit rate do you want to work with and focus on.
Yes, and you can also apply hit rate on different departments as well. Like for marketing, it's not only for sales. I mean, like marketing they can also increase their hit rate, let's say by how many ICP accounts they're targeting. That leads to a close one. I think it's very important to be aware of the hit rate across different departments.
Of course, that's a very good point from you, and it also includes like customer success department. When you actually, as a salesperson, has bring in the customer and deliver it further to customer success. Then they gonna work with some hit rates in their processes.
And me as a sales rep, like when I look at my hit rate and I want to increase my hit rate, right? So do you see like a trend where reps tend to misread their data when they're looking at the hit rate?
Yeah, I think so, because many sales reps want to see the most positive things in their work, who is, of course, a good thing. But you want to have happy numbers. And what I mean with that is you don't maybe count every meeting or register in the CRM as a first meeting and so on, because you want to show others that you have a good hit rate. And when you're focusing on only what people are seeing, it also affects your long-time development as a sales rep. So I think many people, or many sales reps, so to speak, when they are reading their data, they may be looking at the volume before quality sometimes. They are measuring activity instead of effectiveness. And treating all the deals as equal, for example. That's one common part as a sales rep.
Yeah. And do you have like any habits for your team that usually increases hit rate? Like what are the key things to focus on?
Yeah, you need to have a structure for how do I actually increase my hit rate. You need to practice, like work with role play when you are working with demo as you do and we do, because if you are really sharp and really good in your sales process, your sales book, so to speak, you're going to increase your hit rate, because then you can have a low amount of volume. You can have 10 meetings a week. But if your hit rate is 40-50%, then you're having 4-5 deals to be closed.
Yeah.
Of course, you also need to learn from your colleagues, because the best teachers is your colleagues, because we have different experience, coming from different backgrounds, different personality, and then you can learn from each other. Even if you're not comfort with some things you need to do, you can actually learn and maybe take a step out of your comfort zone. I have a good example for myself. I worked with Marcus Möller. He's the vice president of Meetric. He started Brightbid, and they did a really good journey with that company. And then he went to Meetric, took me in as an head of sales. So he actually did give me some good tip. For example, he's really good at the step, in the end of the meeting, the closing part. For example, give the customer questions about any blockers to not try our product. And often the customer says, no, actually not. We can try it. But that was one thing I learned from him. Give them question with stickiness in the end of the meeting.
So when he was giving you like tips and tricks, then you probably had the data that if the customer is doing a trial, then we have a much higher percentage of hit rate in close one deals, right?
Yeah.
So just know your numbers, know your hit rate, know what leads to a close one if you're looking at the close one hit rate numbers.
Yeah.
And then always make the customer into steps that will do the close one. Okay, great. So you're making plan with the customer that leads to a closed one increasing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you can increase hit rate with actually a lot of things. For example, what is my talk to listen ratio? How much do I speak or the customer speak? How many questions do I actually giving to the customer? Do I following the sales book? And so on.
Yeah, because that's your like expertise area, right? Using call recordings and analyzing the data from the call recordings. Could you just tell me, because you were mentioning practicing with your sales reps all the time. Like, how can you use your data from real conversation intelligence to improve your hit rate?
For example, when you are using a tool like Meetric or another conversation intelligence tool, but I'm just going to talk about Meetric, of course. But as I said earlier, we can actually see how do we follow the sales playbook, for example. How is my talk to listen ratio? How many questions do I ask? What questions do I ask? And so on. That's one part. But you can also looking at objections most common from the customers and the most usual questions from the customer. And when you know your usual questions and objections, you actually know what you're going to say in the meeting. Maybe be prepared for that. Or maybe telling them about the price before they asking about the price. For example, in our meetings, we actually talk about the price in the beginning.
Yeah, the first meeting.
Yeah, exactly. The first thing, just to remove that objection and the question. And that works really fine. The customer say, okay, sounds good. Then they're not going to think about, the price, all the process.
Yeah, okay.
So that's one thing. And I said earlier that you can learn so much from your colleagues. You don't need to do exactly the same, but you could be a good thief, stealing the best and do it to your own advantage. For example, if I looking at your meetings, Astrid, it could also be meetings for Oneflow, and I maybe could learn something really good from that. And you maybe could learn something from me if you're looking at my meetings. So you can also doing this outside your company if you're feeling comfort with that and learning from other SaaS sellers or other industry sellers.
Yeah. Okay, so the key takeaways from this episode is to never stop being curious. Take advantage of the expertise that you have in-house from your colleagues. Never stop improving and doing sales training based on your sales recordings that you have from intelligence tool. And keep on following the clear playbook that you have.
Exactly. And actually also analyze what you are doing.
Never stop analyzing.
Exactly.
So that's all for this episode of Sales in Minutes. Thank everyone for listening, and thanks again, Edvard, for joining us.
Thank you.